Hi, Ms. Rania.
Yes.
Yeah. So, shall we start?
Yes, I'm ready. I'm ready.
Okay. Yeah. So, welcome to the very first episode of the Crypto Cafe, and this is where we all doing, we discuss the world of crypto, blockchain, and everything in between. And throughout the conversation, stories, and interacting with like-minded people like you. And we are starting today with a very special guest who is shaping the future of education at a global scale. So joining us is Ms. Rania Lampou, distinguished delegate from the Ministry of Education in Greece. She is not only a respected educator, but also a strong advocate for integrating emerging technologies like blockchain into the education system worldwide. In this episode, we are diving into the interaction of blockchain, global education policies, and the innovation. So grab your coffee, relax, and let's kick off the Crypto Cafe with an inspiring conversation featuring Rania Lampou.
Well, greetings from Athens, from Greece. Thank you very much for the kind invitation. I'm very honored. I'm very happy to be invited here to this Crypto Cafe. And I'm sure that we will have a very constructive and interesting discussion. I would like to extend my heartfelt congratulations to all the organizers for setting up these episodes. And of course, I would like to thank Dr. Saurabh Kumar for the kind invitation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so this podcast episode, we have like different segments in which we discuss about the blockchain, also like the role of the blockchain into the education system. So, shall we begin with the segment one, which is like personal background and your journey. So it's like, can you say your background and what led you to explore the interest into the education and the blockchain technology?
Yes, of course. Thank you very much. Actually, my background is deeply rooted in education, STEM, and innovation. As a multi-awarded STEM educator, instructor, and ICT teacher trainer, I have always been passionate about integrating emerging technologies into education. And my work at the Directorate of Educational Technology Innovation in the Greek Ministry of Education, Religious Affairs and Sports involves designing and implementing forward-thinking STEM projects for schools. So over the last years, I have realized that blockchain, beyond its association with the cryptocurrencies, holds transformative potential for education, particularly in areas like credential verifications. We're going to discuss about all these things, decentralized learning systems, data security. And my interest in this intersection grew from a desire to create more transparent, more secure, more equitable educational ecosystems. So I believe that blockchain can empower students globally, especially in underserved regions, by ensuring that their educational records and achievements are verifiable and accessible across borders. So I believe that it's a fascinating frontier for educational innovation. And definitely, blockchain technology offers many promising applications in education classroom systems, especially when it comes to the security, to transparency, everything that has to do with student identity, records management, with learning pathways in micro-credential, with academic publishing or research integrity, very important issue, and even with scholarship grants and fund tracking. So all these amazing possibilities and potential now that blockchain offers us.
Okay, that is a great answer, and it's an honor to me as well to discuss these things with the same people like-minded people like you. And as you mentioned, on the scholarship part, so yeah, blockchain also help to have the transparency. So from the upper management, what budget is passing and how much the student actually get that. So that kind of transparency also we achieve into the scholarship distribution and also into the government sector where the fund distributed for the public. So really like your view onto the blockchain. And from this, I get a new questions like, what was your first impression when you heard the blockchain? And when first you heard about the blockchain and all.
Yeah.
Very first impression, yeah.
Yeah, I first heard about this from some friends who were artists, and they were explaining to me what the NFT blockchain art is. So until then, I didn't know much things. I mean, NFT, first, I would like to explain to our audience that it's about the digital artworks that are tokenized as NFT on a blockchain, and each artwork is assigned a unique, verifiable certificate of ownership that lives on a blockchain like Ethereum, Solana, or Polygon. So I have these friends who explained to me about these amazing possibilities and applications in art. And when I first learned about blockchain, I was captivated by its potential because the idea of a decentralized and secure system that could operate without a central authority felt almost no futuristic. So it struck me not just as a new technology, but as a transformative concept, something that could redefine how we manage trust, how we manage data, how we manage our digital interactions. And I was especially excited by the possibilities it could unlock in sectors, like education, where systems often feel outdated, but this worldwide, fragmented, and bureaucratic. And the more I explored, the more inspired I became. So blockchain felt like the foundation of a new digital era, one where individuals would reclaim control over their data, over their credentials, and even their identity. And this initial spark of curiosity quickly turned into a deep enthusiasm to understand how this technology could actually reshape the world around us. So I could say that my first impression was it felt like discovering the underlying code of trust for the digital world, secure, transparent, and empowering, because the concept of people owning the data, verifying transactions without middlemen, and reshaping how systems work across industries felt, of course, groundbreaking. My imagination immediately went into overdrive, thinking about how this could transform not just finance, but also healthcare, identity, education, and more. And it wasn't just a piece of technology, it felt like a movement. I knew right away that this was something worth diving deeper into. But here I want to say that in general, when blockchain first emerged, I think especially alongside Bitcoin, I think it was 2008 or 2009, the common first impressions in general, there was the polarization of the common reactions. I mean, we had the tech enthusiasts, those who saw it as something, as a breakthrough, a revolutionary breakthrough in trustless systems. So as a way to securely exchange value and data without central authorities. We had the economists, we had the legal experts, which were intrigued or alarmed by how this blockchain could disrupt banks, our legal systems, and government authority over currency and data. The developers, early adopters in the software were very excited by blockchain as a novel data structure and mechanism for distributed consensus, especially with smart contracts. So it was fascinating for them also. But on the other hand, we had the other point of view, the skeptics, because many people initially associated blockchain solely with Bitcoin and other legal activities. So the first impression was polarizing. For some, it seemed like the foundation of a new interest of value, and to others, it was an overhyped tech with unclear real-world use. So over time, I believe that over time, its potential has expanded far beyond cryptocurrency into sectors like supply chain, voting, digital identity, and as we discussed today, education. So my first heard about this from artists, and we explained what is NFT and how NFT use blockchain. NFT is created, is minted, and assigned a unique ID on the blockchain. Then we have the ownership. The NFT is owned by a digital wallet address. So ownership here is transparent and traceable. We have smart contracts. NFT software include also rules via smart contracts for royalties, for resale, etc. And marketplaces, because NFT are bought or are sold or traded on platforms like OpenSea, Magic Eden, etc. So the most popular NFT use cases in digital art, as I mentioned, gaming also, music and videos, in virtual real estate. We use it also in tickets and membership. So artists can actually create digital art. They can use these platforms to mint the art as NFT. And the blockchain records who owns the NFT and tracks the entire history of ownership. This solves issues, of course, like forgery and authenticity. And smart contracts can automatically pay the artist a percentage every time the NFT is resolved. So why this matters? Obviously, because this gives digital artists control over their work and how it is sold. It enables global borderless sales of art. It creates provable scarcity and uniqueness. And of course, it opens up new forms of expression like interactive or generative art. So this was my first initiation in the world of blockchain and my first reactions.
No, I really appreciate that deep analytical answer on this one. This will definitely help to our viewer also to get a different perspective of the blockchain, apart from the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency and meme token which currently trending right now. But definitely you touch upon a very best use cases of the blockchain is NFT, where there is automated royalty, ownership of the assets, and overall you can have the accountability of your own art. No one can come and just say, okay, this is my art or you copied my thing. So really appreciate your deep analysis onto that one. And moving forward to the next question, it's in a segment two where we discuss about the blockchain and education. Where I see you have the mastery in both the things, like also in the blockchain and also into the education. So the first question is like, how do you see blockchain reshaping the education system on the global scale or the globally?
Okay. Blockchain has the potential to radically reshape the global education system by introducing security, transparency, decentralization into how educational record certification and learning are managed. So how? First, blockchain can store immutable academic credentials like degrees or diplomas or certificates, ensuring that they can be forged or altered. So what are the benefits of this? Is that we have an instant verification of credentials, that this reduces fraud in resumes or job applications, and that we have also cross-border recognition of qualifications. I'll give an example. MIT and other institutions already issue blockchain-based diplomas, and here also in Europe and in Greece, we will share also some examples later. So we talk about tamper-proof academic records. Second very important issue is the global learner identity, because learners can have a lifelong digital portfolio or educational wallet that travels with them across schools, borders, or platforms. So this includes grade certificates, micro-credentials, includes skills learned in MOOCs or informal settings. Do you know how many people contact with me in the Ministry of Education where I'm working, and they ask me, degrees that they have, that they got years, 20, 30 years before, and they can get it now. So we talk about very useful applications. And of course, blockchain can support the peer-to-peer learning ecosystems where instructors are paid directly, content is verified and time-stamped, and where learning modules can be certified without relying on centralized universities. For example, they're token-based in incentives, for example, earning crypto for completing courses or contributing content. So blockchain can support peer-to-peer learning ecosystems. So talk about decentralized learning platforms. And I mentioned before the smart contracts for funding and scholarship. Now smart contracts can automate scholarship disbursement based on performance. So students can actually loan agreements with transparent terms, and tuition, we can automate tuition payment only upon successful course completion. So very important for scholarships and for funding in general. We can automate all these processes, the scholarship process and the loan agreements, etc. And furthermore, blockchain to create a transparent global ledger of accreditation, helping this way students, employers, and governments quickly assess whether an institution is legitimate, who awarded a degree, and when. So we talk about accreditation and quality assurance. We talk about student identity records management, because students own and control access to the data. It's about an easy transfer of records between schools, universities, or across countries, or more privacy, less vendor lock-in. And the learning pathways and micro-credentials, very important, because we can now track micro-credentials and badges and nano degrees for skills learned through different platforms. So what are the benefits of this? That it's lifelong learning now, it's recorded on chain, that this supports modular or no linear education models, that this encourages skill-based hiring. For example, Nova, Coursera, or IBM and others issue already blockchain-backed badges. And very, very interesting about what is happening in academic research and publishing, the integrity, because we can use time-stamping and immutably recording research papers or academic work. So the benefits is that, of course, it prevents plagiarism. It's about transparent peer review processes. It's about how we can track authority and version control. For example, some journals and researchers are experimenting with blockchain for open science. Already this is happening. Token-based systems in order to distribute and track funds in general, so more transparent allocation of research grants, reduced risk of misuse or corruption, very important, and also all the conditions are enforced by smart contracts. And finally, I don't know if I mentioned the decentralized autonomous universities. So blockchain native institutions where governance, content, and credential are all decentralized. Here we have these universities. What are the benefits? We talk about global access. It's about peer access, accreditation, and governance. And we can see here innovative educational models without traditional gatekeepers. Definitely on the other side, maybe you will ask me about the challenge. What are the challenges to adoption? The technical barriers, because not all regions have the necessary infrastructure. There is no unified also global education blockchain yet, so the standardization issue. And the privacy concerns, because sensitive student data must be handled carefully. In Greece, recently we have a scandal with a leak of students' data. It was a very serious issue. So whether we talk about AI or machine learning or data-driven pedagogy or blockchain, will be education institutions must be very, very careful and sensitive about students' data. So briefly, I could say that blockchain can make education accessible, portable, secure, because it empowers learners, it reduces fraud, and facilitates global collaboration, recognition, potentially creating a borderless education system. So if for example, we want to explore a use case example of blockchain in university admission, I think it's one of the areas where the technology could make a major global impact. So let's take this case study. What is the problem today? The problem is that verifying transcripts and certificates is slow, it's manual, and vulnerable to forgery. Another issue that international students often face delays due to language barriers, due to missing documents or fraudulent claims. And universities spend weeks or months trying to authenticate credentials. So here comes the blockchain, the solution. And what we can do step by step, that student earns credential, high school diplomas, exam results, and other certificates are issued now directly to a blockchain by verified institutions. Students can apply to university because they share a secure blockchain link or wallet that contains verifiable credentials. University verifies instantly, no mails, no notarization, no third-party services needed, so they just check the blockchain for authenticity. And finally, admissions, decision made faster because institutions can confidently evaluate applications, especially from international or unknown schools. So some popular example platforms are BlockCert. BlockCert is used by MIT for issuing blockchain diplomas. we have learning machine and other platforms. So it's about the global impact because this speeds up cross-border admissions in universities. It reduces bureaucracy, fraud. It empowers students with ownership of the data and levels the playing field for applicants from underrepresented regions. So you can imagine a world already where a refugee with no physical documents can still prove their education. Here in Greece, we have a great number of refugees who have this kind of issues. Imagine a world where employees scan a QR code on your digital wallet and instantly see verified degrees. And imagine a world where micro degrees and online course completions are just as credible as traditional diplomas. So I think that we have amazing applications already.
It's well, your answer is like pretty well. I also get a new idea like, oh, why not to create a system which also help employee and employer to verify their last role or their education background or like background verification and all. These all things we can automate through blockchain, which help to solve the two big issue, which is certificate fraudulence and student data privacy. So these two big things I get from your answer, and it's also really helpful to the new generation or the new people who are coming into this technology to create a system around these problems which currently world is facing, and the blockchain can fit a very good solution into that one. So thank you so much for that answer. I also learn. I also get a chance to learn so many things from that. Yeah. So, moving forward, there is a segment three, global policies and regulations. As every other country have some different perspective for the blockchain and the cryptocurrency and all. So, how are the governments and education ministries around the world responding to blockchain tech right now? Like once after Bitcoin touching the all-time high, and everyone was started getting aware of about what is blockchain, what is Bitcoin, what is real-world asset tokenization and all. So now, what's your view on that? Education ministers around the world responding to that.
Yeah. Well, okay. First, I'll talk about Europe. What is happening? In Europe, we have the European Blockchain Services Infrastructure. It's an initiative by the European Union to create a pan-European blockchain infrastructure, including for education. So how we have pilots are issuing digital diplomas and micro-credentials across European Union countries. And this is built on what we call self-sovereign identity models. What is the impact of this? That there is a smooth cross-border recognition of academic achievements, and this promotes lifelong learning and mobility. I want to share also in Greece some blockchain-based education programs and pilots which are supported by the ministry. A government support initiative, it's led by the Aristotle University of Thessaloniki here in Greece. It's called the Block Academic. This platform actually created a digital training passport on blockchain in order to certify higher education and lifelong learning achievements. So it used smart contracts to issue education tokens to learners when objectives were met, ensuring tamper-proof certification. We have private schools. Private schools in the capital of Greece, Kosteas Kitona School is one of the first Greek institutions to pilot a Web3-based high school curriculum. So they delivered the blockchain business innovation course to students covering foundational blockchain concepts and hands-on applications. Very, very interesting. They have a European Union funded program at the National Technical University of Athens, which actually integrates blockchain with analytics and micro-credential. And within the School of Electrical and Computer Engineering, students and professors tested smart badges, immutable skill credentials, and tools for curriculum design based on labor market data. We have also, in collaboration with the Greek Ministry of Education, GUNET, the European Union batch pilot uses what I mentioned before, the European Blockchain Service Infrastructure, to issue diplomas and transcripts that students can store in digital wallets. And this ensures, of course, cross-border verification. For example, when they want to apply to universities like Lausanne or in other European universities. So in general, so you asked me what is happening with governments. Governments, I think that they're beginning to embrace blockchain technology, especially for credentialing, for record security, and cross-border recognition of qualifications. While adoption is still in early stages, there is a growing, we would say, wave of pilot projects, of policy experiments and partnerships. So mentioning what is happening in Europe, you know, Malta, I forgot to mention, Malta is considered as the blockchain island because it was the first country to declare a national blockchain education strategy. So they used the blockchain for certification of academic and vocational qualifications. Another case that we need to mention about the USA, what is happening in the United States. In the United States, there is institutional innovation, but not centralized policy. I mean, there is no federal blockchain education policy yet. In MIT, there are some examples. In MIT, issued blockchain diplomas. We have some other universities which explore digital credential system. But the USA, we could say, is only led by universities and private initiatives rather than a national policy. In India, I think you know very well, there are states involved like Maharashtra, Kerala. I think Maharashtra was the first state to use Let's Talk to issue tamper-proof digital diplomas. We have the Kerala also Blockchain Academy, which promotes research certification in blockchain. It's backed by central education authorities. In the UK also, and in the United Arab Emirates, there is a digital blockchain strategy. I think they started in 2021. It's very interesting because this strategy in Dubai aims to digitize all government records using blockchain. So this includes student certificates, includes records, test results. Of course, Ministry of Education is involved in also smart certificate projects. And I could say that UAE is among the most proactive now governments in integrating blockchain in education and public services. On the other hand, what's happening with China? In China, there is a control but active use. China promotes blockchain in education, but under tight government control. The focus is fraud prevention and tracking student qualification. For example, there are Chinese universities testing blockchain for diplomas and student portfolios. I think more or less we could say that governments are mostly in pilot or early adoption stages, but the trend is clear. What is the trend? That digital credentials of blockchain are gaining trust. Fraud prevention and data ownership are key drivers, and cross-border cooperation, for example, the European Union, will be critical to scale globally.
Got it. So some government is already doing very well, like blockchain is in action, and some governments still are at very early stage. But on an average, everyone is at a very early stage or to adopt the adoption of the blockchain.
Yes, exactly.
For that, I get a global perspective from the how government agencies sees to the blockchain and all. But yeah, I'm aware of in India, in my city as well. Like I'm in Ahmedabad right now. The government also started working onto the project where they do like the government land, they tokenize the government land and all, which help builders to minimize the paperwork and all, and they can trade or transfer that tokens in the form of land and everything. So this is currently going on in my hometown. Yeah. So another thing, like, do you see blockchain becoming a standard in education within the next 5 or 10 years?
Yes, I think that this is a trend that I mentioned before. Of course, let's not forget about the resistance to change. We need to be realistic because many educators, administrators, and institutions are hesitant to adopt new technologies due to lack of familiarity or fear of disruption. How to overcome this? I think that professional development is important. How this could happen? By offering regular hands-on training sessions tailored to different levels of digital literacy, by showcasing success stories, by presenting local and international case studies that demonstrate measurable benefits, and of course, pilot programs in a few schools or classes to build confidence before scaling. That would be very important. So there are this could become a trend, as you mentioned, the next years, as long as we take into consideration all the obstacles, the limited funding also and resources, because budget constraints often prevent schools from investing in new technologies or infrastructure. So we have to be realistic. We need public-private partnerships, collaborate with tech companies, with NGOs, international bodies to co-fund projects. We can seek support from global education innovation funds, for example, UNESCO, Erasmus Plus, for European Union Horizon projects. And we can leverage also free and open source technologies that require minimal investment. On the other hand, we need to encourage teachers about this, because there's always lack of teacher training. Teachers may not have the skills or confidence to use new tools effectively in the classroom. So what is needed here is the ICT integration in pre-service training. Why? Because we need to make digital literacy and education technology a core part of teacher education programs. We need to create at the same time peer mentoring programs where early adopters support others, and also offer certificates or incentives for educators who complete training programs. Another obstacle, especially talk about my country, Greece, is always bureaucracy is the main problem that we have. Any new project may remain for 1 year before getting signed. So education systems are often slow moving because there are rigid policies that are hard to change. So what we can do about it? We can work with ministries of education to update curriculum frameworks in order to include innovation. Evidence-based proposals are important because we always need to use research and data to influence decision-making at the policy level. I remember when I was got appointed the Greek Ministry of Education, I was detached teacher. Then it was a period when STEM education was not popular at all. It was, I think it was 2016, 2017. I had just received some awards, STEM education by SEM, the European Organization for Nuclear Research, for my STEM projects. So when I got appointed to the Greek Ministry of Education, I wanted to diffuse this STEM methodology vision around Greece. I designed a circular, I remember, inviting schools to send the innovative projects in order for us to upload them in our websites in the ministry. I launched a STEM workshop for primary, secondary school students there. But I faced extreme bureaucratic obstacles because I had submitted my circular, first circular that I designed, and it took, I remember, 1.5 years in order to be signed, because I had to convince my high officials why STEM education is important and why we should promote it, etc. So bureaucracy is difficult to handle, and if it's possible, we need to engage educators, technologists, and students in consultative bodies that drive a reform. And digital divide, let's not forget that the COVID pandemic revealed all these weaknesses. The COVID pandemic showed that not all students have equal access to digital tools, the connectivity, or learning opportunities. So we can, for example, develop content that works without internet or on low bandwidth connections. We can set up tech-enabled centers in underserved areas. We can prioritize inclusion in all tech initiatives, support learners with disability, with language barriers or limited access. And I mentioned before the crucial issue of data privacy and security, because schools and parents often worry data misuse and security breaches, especially with blockchain or AI. So what we need to clearly explain how student data is used, is stored, is protected to parents, ensure solutions that meet the GDPR, for example, or other regulations or other relevant data privacy regulations, and highlight how blockchain ensures security and ownership of student records. And of course, any innovative tool which may not feel well with traditional curriculum, which may be misaligned with curriculum, we need to align, try to find ways to align new technologies with our existing learning outcomes, with our existing standards, through, for example, project-based learning, through teacher co-design, involve educators in design lesson plans that incorporate new tools meaningfully. I think that blockchain potentially used in education could be, of course, what I mentioned in the beginning, credential verification, the student identity records management, definitely. A blockchain digital ID could give students control over data, where they can share selectively with employees or other institutions. Blockchain could support continuous decentralized learning, where learners accumulate micro-credentials from different sources and store them in one verified wallet. The smart contracts for administrative process, which could automate course registration, we can automate tuition payments, financial aid disbursement, all of these amazing opportunities. So in niche areas like digital credentialing, adoption is already happening. I mentioned the University of Nicosia, for example, Cyprus or MIT, it is likely to expand. At a national and a global level, especially across public education systems, it may take longer due to technical, legal, and economic barriers that I mentioned before. Let's not forget about these challenges to widespread adoption, the technical infrastructure barriers, the standardization issues, that there is no universal framework so far, the need for compliance with regulatory and privacy frameworks, and the cultural resistance because education systems are traditionally slow to adopt disruptive technology. Blockchain is expected to become a common tool in specific educational contexts, like credentialing or identity verification within 5 or 10 years, but not, I think, not yet a universal standard. This is my opinion.
Okay, got it. So it's like still we need to go very long to achieve that things. But I will definitely agree with you. Like still right now blockchain is an emerging technology, but the professor and the education system still didn't adopt in that way. Like the new student and the people get in a better easy way to learn the blockchain as a technology apart from the cryptocurrency and investment. Like what use cases and the real life problems a blockchain can solve that still is kind of not missing, but at very low level in our education system. That what I also believe and I see right now into the industry and all. So, on continuation to that, like any advice for young professional or who are into the education sector, interest in building careers into the blockchain or edtech space, get an a resource from where they can learn all these things.
Yeah, yes, really. Well, I will start with general career tips. That first we need to start with curiosity and self-education. We can follow, top influencers. We can take foundational courses on platforms like Coursera, Udemy, or MIT OpenCourseWare. And then they can try to build technical domain expertise. If we talk about blockchain, they can learn solidity, smart contracts, concepts like DAO, NFT, as we mentioned before. For the educational technology, they can learn. They need to understand pedagogy, the learning design, the LMS platforms, and the psychology of learning. In general, they should stay agile, learn continuously. Why? Because these industries evolve very fast. They need to prioritize continuous upskilling in both technology and market trends and be prepared to pivot as new technologies and needs emerge. This is a general career tips. Now, for blockchain careers, they can start, young people can start by building projects. They can create, for example, a small app. They can contribute to open source protocols on GitHub. And very important for this is to understand all these ecosystems, understand Ethereum, Solana, other interoperability tools. They should learn about security because smart contract vulnerabilities are a major risk area. So understand auditing basics. And network in the community. Community also is important because here they can attend the hackathons, they can join forums, they can form groups, they can attend podcasts like what we're doing now. And in general, for edtech careers, edtech is not is about outcomes. They should learn how to measure educational effectiveness. So combine knowledge of instructional design with technical fluency. Try to embrace all the trends, the emerging trends, VR, gamification, AI tools, microlearning, and collaborate with educators also, because anyone who wants to get involved in blockchain, they need to understand the needs of educators. This is critical for adoption and success. And for cross-industry advice, I think that it's important to get hands-on early. So that could be through internship, through volunteering, or freelance. Real-world experience always beats theory. We know about this. They can try to build a personal brand by writing articles, by sharing insights on LinkedIn or X, or joining panels or podcasts. They can think about the ethics. Ethics matter. All the ethical frameworks and reports that exist, especially blockchain. We talk about trust, decentralization, and tech, data privacy and accessibility. So what I could say is that young people should pick a real world problem they care about and then learn how to solve it using these technologies. This is what I would advise. And of course, think global, act local, because these technologies often have global reach but require local relevance also. Yes.
Understood. Yeah. I really agree on that. And as experience, I also have the developer experience in past. So I will definitely like if I get this kind of advice in a very early of my career, might be anyone who can grow exponentially into that career if they get this kind of suggestions. So this is very great, and I believe it will also help in a practical as well. So whoever who getting started, so as you mentioned, like just going with the theory and just rolling around the theory, just get your hands dirty, just started developing some softwares, or like let's say create an NFT marketplace, or a tokenization platform and something, so you get an exposure to the real world challenges and the real world application. So that will definitely help many of the newcomers into the industry with this kind of session. So, moving forward to the another segment, if you could describe the future of education in one sentence, so what would it be?
Yeah. The future of education will be learner owned, AI personalized, definitely, and blockchain verified, accessible anytime, anywhere, by anyone. This would be my sentence.
No, that single sentence is very powerful. It would really help to many. And where can our listener follow you, work, or connect with you?
Yes, the best way to connect with me is on social media, whether it's LinkedIn or Facebook, where I regularly share updates, insights, resources, or we can share also my mail. They can contact with me. They can find me. It's very easy. I'm always open to connecting with passionate, especially young people in these fields. So they can find me very easily.
Okay, thank you so much. Really appreciate your kind and helping nature to the newcomers into the tech space, especially into the emerging tech like AI and blockchain. So the last question, it is a little bit fun questions apart from our regular questions. Like if you had to explain a blockchain to a 10-year-old in 30 seconds, so how would you do it?
Well, imagine a notebook that everyone in the world can see and write in, but no one can erase anything from it. Every time someone buys or sells something, we write it in this notebook. And before it gets written, everyone has to agree that it really happened. That way, no one can cheat and everyone can trust what is in the notebook. That's what blockchain is. It's a super smart shared notebook that keeps things fair and honest.
I think this answer is not only sufficient for 10 years. I personally will gonna reuse your answer to someone who is 45 year old and
Yeah.
is new to this technology. Like it's very basic, but at the same time very powerful and exactly shows the characteristic of the blockchain. So I also learned like this one thing from you today, and definitely I will going to reuse to other
Yeah.
people's. Yeah. So
Yes,
thank you so much,
I want to
Rania.
give a
Uh,
last message to young people who are the future leaders
sure.
that the world is changing fast. The blockchain is at the heart of this revolution. And it's more than just Bitcoin or no crypto hype. Blockchain is freedom, it's trust, it's transparency, it's built into code. And you, the young people, are the digital generation. You already understand the power of connection. And blockchain let us build systems without middlemen, create art that is truly owned, and transfer value instantly, and store data that no one can erase or fake. So blockchain, I could say, is your toolbox. Don't wait, start learning about this, question this, build with this, because the future doesn't belong to big corporation. It belongs to you. Thank you very much for this wonderful discussion that we had, and for your invitation also. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I am just saying that thank you so much, Rania, for your valuable advice. And we really appreciate to having you today over here. And thank you so much for your presence.